Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another live, and in living blue color, Jacob's Ladder. So happy that you're all here. Thank you for pressing the play button to spend a little time with me. It's going to be a wild ride for sure. A lot of things that we see happening in the news today. Oh, they're connected to a lot of stuff. Resist the blue frequency, I say. Oh, let's take a look at the thumbnail as I check in with everybody in the live chat. So happy that you got here. You know, we have so many of the old psychological ops that are upon us every day of the week that are back in the news again. From that woman who is best known for That Mother Fudgerson's Not Real to Oliver Anthony himself. These are just a lot of really interesting things that over the last couple of days have just been popping. And you know what's popping today? Hopefully my eyes. So the Dan says, I'm wearing the blue shirt again because, of course, we have the massive blue moon that's going on tonight. Or as Guy Tal from Israel would say, the betrayer's moon. I was just on Donut's show. If you haven't seen that, you don't know who Donut is, D-O-E-N-U-T on N-U-T on YouTube. Check him out. We just did a live show together. And man, did we talk about blue in a way like you would not believe. You know? And today we're going to talk about the blues. Because it seems like there may be something freaky going on with the old Schumann resonance. And it may be causing some blue sadness. Perhaps may also be causing some people to just be freaking out and just freezing like Mitch McConnell did today. Ooh. Wouldn't it be weird if there was a Mountain Dew that was connected to this? Of course there is. Official on Twitter. You should, X should check his site out. He's very, very cool. But let's talk first about the hurricane that we have been praying about. We just put out some, I say we, I mean me. I put out a zeet this morning in hopes that maybe it wouldn't be a terrible thing and that it would weaken very quickly, and I just kind of put it out there. This is the way storms go. They hit the land, and then hopefully they don't just stay out there and then supercharge. Hopefully they kind of move inland pretty quickly and then weaken. And it looks like that's exactly what's been going on. Looks like it's weakening, but people have been worried, and they're very worried about tonight going into tomorrow because of this supermoon, which, of course, you know, is it has effects on the old tides. Isn't that interesting? Think about this for a second. Let's go a little metaphorical, a little spiritual. If the sun is the picture of God's spirit and the moon is the picture of our we'll say our intellect, our ego, our emotions, our soul. Well, when the soul is bigger, you're gonna have a little bit of issues with the storms within, and we got some storms going without. Do you know what Adalia's name means? Anybody here in the live chat? Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for hitting the like. We got a lot of people here already. I love it. Yes, smash the like button so more know about the channel, and hopefully the sound and everything is going good. I threw this together pretty quickly. I came on here. I was really tired. I'm really tired. I've been really tired. I don't know. Is it just me? But it feels like everybody's just really run down. And Danielle and I have talked about this, and she's like, is there something in the water? Or is this something else? You know, somebody messing with some kind of a vibration or some kind of a frequency? I don't know. But this show may get you to question whether or not that's happening. But I may have the answer as well. So, Adalia's name means behold the sun. Behold the sun. That's pretty interesting stuff. Now, on the show that I just did with the Donut, with Guy Tao, Tommy Truthful, and Ani, very cool show. We talked about the frequency of blue and a lot of other things. And Guy brought up there was a video that I thought was very interesting where they shined like a blue light on children and kind of recorded it. And you could see that everybody who wasn't wearing blue was freaking out. The person that was wearing blue was kind of fine. And this, of course, ties into what we just saw happening in Maui, in Hawaii. All these things that went down there, and then all the stuff that I've talked about on the channel, the blue blood, the blue this, the blue that, right? But you got these weird storms doing weird things, smashing off some St. Elmo's fire blue lightning. And you find out that this frequency may be something that we should concern ourselves with. It's 666. Somebody sent this to me right after I did the last show. And I find that interesting because, of course, this number is so prominent today. But let's talk about this St. Elmo's fire. This stuff has always freaked me out. You know what this lightning is called? It's called witch fire. Isn't that wild? St. Elmo's fire is known as witch fire or witch's fire. And basically what would happen is, like metal posts or masts on ships, they would get supercharged if they had metal, and you'd see this rare lightning that doesn't really originate the way we normally see it. It happens in much shorter, quicker bursts, and it's a very interesting phenomenon that the Air Force just picked up. Rare. It's actually pretty cool. The only reason why I wanted to tell you about this and show this to you was because I liked the way it looked. I really did. I liked the way it looked. Let's just take a look at this for a second. I mean, how cool is that? And it was like everywhere. Now this was happening. Okay, this plasma, this was happening, I believe it was right before the storm started to kind of barrel in. Hey, Lauren Sawyer, thank you so much for the super chat. Welcome. Everybody, thank you for hitting the like. We got so many more people here already and so many people hitting the like. I love it. S.L. Red says 666 wavelengths and blue is 666 TH in frequency. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting as we have, behold, the sun is making its way in and thankfully diminishing. Thankfully. Because, I mean, it's not a good thing. I mean, I saw some images of stuff that just really bummed me out. Have you seen all of the flooding images? It's a bummer. But we prayed, I prayed, and I put it out there, and I was like, Lord, I think people need a break. Maybe this storm can not be as bad as they're making it out, because, of course, what do? They put one thing out and they're like, devastation. It goes from category 1 to category 4 like this. Kaboom, kapow, kabowie. It's going to be the worst. It's just nonstop. There's a frequency of fear and a frequency of panic that's in the air it's affecting us all so much. Last night, maybe in high effect, I actually got into an argument with the Dan. Had to eat crow and apologize a little bit later, say I'm sorry. And then she says she's sorry. Two of us, because, there's a lot of stresses going on right now. She's back to school. There's this, there's that, all of this stuff. And then you have everything that I'm staring at and sharing and thinking about. It's just, it could be a heavy burden if you don't know how to see through it all, to see through the simulacrum of it, see through all the fear of it, all the stuff that they're shoving down your throat to get you to be reactive. By the end of this show, you're going to see through it. I'm going to also give you some tips. How about them apples? Some tips. And I'm going to remind you that, if Adalia, forgive me for drinking, tea out of Uranus, but it's my favorite, cup to drink it out of. And Uranus right now, Uranus, which is another name for heaven, by the way. Very interesting. We're going to talk about it very shortly. Not on today's show, another show. I'm starting to break these up because there's just so much coming at us at once right now. It is like a hurricane of frequency. That's why I named it that for the show. But we have another show, another storm coming, and another show to talk about that as well, called Franklin. Now, Franklin means, anybody know what it means? Look at the screen. It says free man. So you have these two storms. There's a picture of them right there. I guess that was supposedly from Never a Straight Answer. If you want to believe it's real, that's great. If you don't, it's okay with me. I'm not too stressed if you don't believe it. You know, what do you believe today? Who knows what to believe today? That's why it's so important not to let this stuff wear you down and weigh you down. Behold the sun. Look to the sun. Now, what's coming up? What's coming up shortly at the sun? We got a big eclipse coming up at the sun, right? Got a couple of them. You know, we're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show, but this is to draw our attention there to the sun. And now the next storm is free man. It's time to behold the sun, free man. Oh boy, we're going to wake up. We're going to wake up from this slumber. You feeling blue? Are you feeling blue on tonight's blue moon? Are you feeling blue without me? That's why I did a show tonight. That's why I did a show tonight. People really believe, by the way, and I believe this is the case too. You ever see those videos where they take like the sand and they'll like blast it with, frequency, and it'll make all these beautiful patterns, or they do it with water. They freeze it sometimes that way. All of these interesting things, how frequency can literally affect the very structure of water, of sand, of us. I believe it happens. I got very interested in the Schumann resonance probably a couple of years ago, but I never realized how incredible it would be today. Like I thought, it's a little woo-woo. But then you start thinking about how important frequency is. My favorite color, blue. Never knew that blue light, Dodger blue. Who is the Dodger fan here? Who's the Dodger fan? Dodger blue. Oh, it's interesting. That Mother Fudgerson, not real lady. She was just at a Dodger game. Dodger blue. Dodger. This is where the show gets very interesting. They say that the true blue moon only appears, now this is a true blue, which I said Guy Tal says, hey, Sean, what's going on, man? Thank you for the $10 for Uranus. I love it. And thank you, Jenna, for the super chat, too. I appreciate all of you. I try to do it right away. I know some shows leave it to the end, but if I see it and if I miss it, give me an email. Everybody, all the links to everything in the description of the video below. If you ever want to get yourself some merch, you want to find out about Truly Free, my sponsor, and you get stuff that's for your house and for your life and that's not filled with toxins and chemicals, in the links in the description below. Click on it, change your life. Use code Jacob if you go over there. By the way, 30%. 30% off. True blue moon only appears after disastrous events, they say. Yeah, and we've had quite a few, huh? We've had quite a few. Kind of a lot of weird ones. A lot of fire, a lot of that stuff going on. Jeez. It's not great. It's really not great. But there is this thing called the Schumann resonance, which marries what people, I guess, even interpret these frequencies to be with real-time data. So you got this, in the corner there, you have what happened on August 25th, which this person who's very well known for interpreting the Schumann resonance says it's the Trump wave, which is interesting. I got to tell you, I have a show coming. It turns out one of you amazing Israelites, Light, is close to the Donald, knows the Donald, and is vouching on the Donald. Just says for years he wants to speak out. He wanted to tell me this. After I talk to him a little more, I'm going to share some information because, of course, it's been my prayer and my hope that, God doesn't use he doesn't use the most perfect people. He uses some pretty bad people too. He uses bad people to overthrow worse people. I'm not saying Trump's a good guy. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm saying, we have to be in prayerful consideration over this stuff. So I don't like to discount the idea that maybe it's not all some big setup. Maybe it's just God setting the whole thing up and that good things are going to come out of it. I know that this is difficult because it's just hard for me sometimes to think about these things, especially when, I got to focus on the frequency and wavelength of the color blue. Dodger blue. You see that? Interesting. Who would have thought that the color blue, Mrs. Dina, Thank you for the super chat. Did you know that 666 was like the frequency? And I mean, do you think that that's pretty strange? Especially since I'm just talking about the blue, and I'm, in the thumbnail behind Tiffany Gomas. She's actually pretty. Let me pull this up for you. I didn't load this, but I can probably find it if I go to. Let me just push this over so you can actually watch what I'm doing. So she's now she's back on Twitter doing her thing. Before I get into the whole Dodger thing, this is very interesting to me. Oh, good grief. So she's just back. Now look at this. She's so proud. Right here. She's so proud to support Maui Strong. Branding Aloha. Remember I told you she's a marketing guru, a marketing whiz. I mean, whether or not that this was some big, just big marketing ploy that she had, which was smart to get a lot of it, looks like it's working for her. She says there's much healing and rebuilding to do. Do a small part. Get your shirt today, 36% off. Our Aloha never dies. It's missing a lot of colors, and I just find it interesting. I find it interesting that this is her page. Let's just take a look at this for a second. And there she is, Dodger Stadium, right? How strange. I'm talking about blue, and here she is at Dodger Stadium. Dodger blue, out of the blue. She's doing Dodger blue. And not just that, look what she wrote. She says, "Thank you, Los Angeles." Like she's a celebrity now. What an amazing time. Jumbotron catching a pop-up. She caught a pop-up, and she was on the Jumbotron. Dodger blue. How bizarre, right? Is it just me? Or this has got to be a movie that we're in, right? We're talking about blue, and then there's the same lady we're talking about. She's at Dodger Stadium. Good for her. Christopher, I did know that Jacob is Jakob. Yeah, I did know that for sure. I get called a lot of different interesting names, but I think that what I want you to take from today's show, as it gets a little more and it jumps off into the really weirder side of things very shortly, so smash that like, so we get some more people here for all the goofy stuff. Hurricane Franklin means free man. East Coast is getting battered. It's getting hammered. And people are feeling down about a lot of things. We have a lot of tragedy. We have a lot of fear being shoved down our throats. Makes you so scared that you just freeze. You ever hear be frozen by fear? It's almost like that's the story. That's the story. That's the story. Here, you want to hear something funny? This is cool too. That's Revelation chapter 17, by the way. That's a big one. That's a big one. I would like you to read on your own time because it has to do with the beast and the Babylon harlot system. And the beast and the harlot system, they kind of have issues, right? Some people have compared the Trumpster to this guy, and I've explained many times that the Antichrist is in the temple of God, and unless Trump is literally living in your head, okay? But that doesn't mean that there are not a lot of Antichrists in the world, and that doesn't mean that we won't have somebody who may stand on the stage of the world one day and be, that person. But that would be because that's the plan. No matter how you want to slice it, that's the plan, and God's plan doesn't fail, right? So I just did this show about voting for the blue steel. And of course, if you didn't see it, you probably should. But what was interesting was, he was in this movie Zoolander that I talked about, and he came in the movie right after the picture of the Statue of Liberty. Now, the Statue of Liberty, many say, is the harlot. That's the big one. And so he appears in that movie directly after that. But what's weird is he appears in my video at least. Now, I haven't fully vetted this, so forgive me if I'm off by a couple minutes, but I don't think I am, because I ended up seeing the whole thing. Now, take a look at the time that he arrives in the movie. Oh, and I clipped off whoever sent that to me. I apologize. I appreciate it, though. It really blew my mind. 17 minutes or 17 seconds in. It's just strange. Is it just me, or is that strange? I think it's strange. But, there are a lot of things today that I think are strange. It's like, who knows what's going on with anything. The thing that really kind of has been standing out, besides the fact that Dodger Blue, that's once again just another strange thing. Why is she at Dodger Stadium? To start streaming again. Maybe am I back? Did I figure it out? Did I come back? You got to let me know in the live chat. I think I'm back. Notice how it was like frozen. It was like frozen on that screen too. Who knows why these things happen? Who knows? I'm not going to go to that screen again, but let me put this screen over. Is it doing okay now, though? You can hear me now, right? Okay, I'm back. That's right, baby. I'm back. Can't keep a good guy down. Not when he's got so much stuff to talk about with the color blue. All right, so listen, Dodger Blue. She also appeared just recently. And if you look to the right of the screen, you'll see her. She was on TMZ. TMZ. Yeah, right. Frozen. Someone just wrote in the chat, we were just talking about being frozen in fear, frozen, and then everything froze. Crazy. Oh, I love it. It's like we're all in them. We're doing this together, people. We're going to get through it. And I love you all so much. So that Mother Fudgerson's not real gets spotted onto another plane, and they kind of interview her, and they're talking to her, and you know what they say to her? They say, "Hey, what did you see?" And she says, "I've been advised I cannot comment on that." So of course I wrote, she can't comment right now on what she saw. Cap. Sounds to me like it's a setup. Liars doing what they get paid to do, perhaps. I'm not saying she's a marketing whiz, but she's a marketing whiz who's very famous right now and is picking up all sorts of stuff to help those that are suffering. Hopefully that's where the money goes. We never know with these things, But she's taking this negative and she's turning it into a positive, and I want to think the best, so let's say that that's the case. It's just interesting that the Lord has placed her in all these places, especially at the time. And she specifically says, I cannot tell you. So the mystery goes on, and then we have to continue to think about this. But she's at Dodger Stadium. And Dodger Blue became famous back in 1989 because of the computer. What is that about? The computer. 1989, the team's famous Dodger Blue was added to the computer color database by Paul Raveling, a software engineer who in 1989 was working on Information Sciences Institute at USC and had been tuning colors to be properly displayed on computer monitors. Frequency. He was tuning the frequency of the computer so that when you see the blue, you see the right frequency of the blue on the computer. Dodgers. Just a weird coincidence. Because who's to say that frequency isn't really a thing? Some people, like that lady I was telling you about, let me see if I can pull up her actual, here it is. She shared this big thing. And she, I guess, interpreted the Schumann. So you see those very big, bright ones. That's when you have a mass influx, I guess, of, like a solar flare or some kind of a plasma outburst or something that kind of messes with the actual frequency. Some people call it the heartbeat of the earth. But we're all connected to this. So she, of course, broke it down, and she said that on the 25th that there was a huge burst, which makes a lot of sense because if this has to do with psychology and the thinking, there was a massive emotional shift that took place on the planet when that mugshot hit the air, the blue steel mugshot. It's weird. Do you remember when Elon was putting out those tweets of the Omega symbol? The Omega symbol being, of course, something that can, it's like stops the current, but also the end. It's a symbol of the end. And he said, resist the current. And I, of course, told you, resist the current, because he wrote thing. So you could look at it as almost like it's an earworm or some kind of a, psychological worm that worms its way into you. The current thing, whatever they're blasting you, whatever the program is sending your way to get you to think about, to get you to be scared about, get you all freaked out about. Resist it. He could be saying that, or he could be saying that there's literally going to be some kind of a frequency that's shot into our brains, and that it maybe try to take over, so we end up freezing on the spot like Mitch McConnell. I'm not saying that's the case, of course. Once again, I'm just a writer. I don't really, I don't have any degrees. These are just things that go through my mind. Why would he say resist the current thing? And now we got all this stuff. We have all this frequency talk, and we have all this color frequency talk, and all this light talk, and all this just interesting. So I start thinking, because I said this on one of my shows, if you got the heartbeat of the earth, what would be the way to kind of change it? Could you change? Like if your heart stops, what do? They shock it. Could you somehow surround the earth with something and then collectively like blast another frequency to the frequency of the earth to change it? I'm thinking if that's the case, Starlink could do that. I'm not saying that's what Starlink does. It supposedly just gives internet and everything else, even though they said it's leaking a weird signal. Talked about this on my show. It's very strange. All of this. I don't want to get it. I don't want to go down that path because I know that God's in control of everything. And unless it's meant to be, it's not going to be. A little solar flare will knock that out real quick. There was a solar storm. Take a look at this. So you think that anytime, I go to her and that's where all the weird stuff happens. Let's see if I have that solar storm here. I must have lost it. All right. Well, anyway, there was a solar storm that knocked out about, I don't know if it was like 22 satellites. It was like a bunch of satellites, and they crashed into the earth, and it was like spooky, about 2022, because there was an outburst of the sun. The sun went, and that just, and like fried the boards, and they lost control, and then that could happen. Anything could happen. Behold the sun. Take a look at the sun. In an instant, we could be toast. But that's no way to live our life. Because I believe, once again, everything is completely controlled. Everything. Whether this is a legitimate simulation that's written perfectly to code, and ultimately, maybe some of us were sent here to get those trapped here out, right? That's what Jesus did. He came down here into the prisoners of Noah's day. He came and he took death upon himself to set the people that are dead here free. Supposedly that's what we're supposed to do as well. This is that 144,000 that they talk about. How cool would that be? Some of us, some people call them star seeds. I don't know anything about this stuff, but I heard somebody talking about star seeds the other day. But could you imagine you being part of this first fruit that God has planned to rise up, to resist the frequency, to resist the current thing, and to help people to be set free? Well, that is the day we're in. It is. It is. So even if you're paralyzed with fear, even if you're like Mitch McConnell and you're frozen, because he froze today. I don't know if you know this. He froze. Let me before I get into the Mountain Dew thing, that was official again. He was, sometimes he sends me some funny stuff. He's a great artist, that guy. All right, so let me show you because this is really sad. He's being asked the question whether or not he is fit to run for office or whatever. And this is what happens.
Thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
I mean, I want to
right,
pause
I'm
it for
sorry.
a second. I think this guy needs to see a doctor if this is like a legitimate thing. Otherwise, it kind of looks like he's got that thing called Duper's Delight. Like, what if he's just messing with people? He's like, I don't want to answer the question. I had too much fun the last time. I don't think that's the case, people. I'm making jokes. But if you do look at him, it kind of looks like he's having a little bit of fun. Doesn't look like he's too upset that he got lost, that he froze.
You all, we're going to need a minute. Senator. Benny.
Very strange. Very strange. You feel bad for people that are going through this. My grandfather, he's about to be 100 years old.
okay.
He's sharp though. So, this is all just, I probably didn't transfer over, did I? All right, I didn't do it. I got to show it to you now. I'm sorry. How ridiculous was that? Huh? There you go. There he goes. Kind of looks like he's duping Delight. Like I said, I must have looked really silly just staring at the screen. It's a good thing I didn't pick any boogers or something.
Did you hear the question, Senator?
Could you imagine?
In 2026?
I think the screen's turned over, and next thing you know, I'm digging. I'm digging.
All right, I'm sorry. You all, we're
Oh,
going to need a
good
minute.
grief. It's been a long week. It's been a long week. Has it been a long week with all of you? Will you tell me in the comment section? Will you tell me what you're going through? Will you? Are you frozen with fear? I don't think you are. Well, it was interesting because, here we're talking about blue, 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 blue. And Mountain Dew came out with a blue color this year. Mountain Dew turned a classic frozen treat into a new summer flavor called Summer Freeze. And official, there you go right there. I can't really read that, but you can. I think it's at I don't know. Just look up official or go to my page. I often will share his stuff. He sent me that right there in response to a video that I posted of Mitch, which he drew my attention to because, as I'm working and stuff, I get a lot of DMs from all of you. So if I'm working and I'm not online, sometimes breaking news, you all send me stuff and then I get these. So I appreciate it. This is we're doing this together. It's all of us. There's no one person alone out there. We're all doing it together. We're all doing it together. But Summer Freeze makes me feel fine. Oh, wow. Yes, the only way this thing could get weirder, this show could get weirder and grosser, is if I bring a parasitic worm into it. So why don't I just do that now? Why don't I spare everybody the drawing it out and let me just talk to you about this woman who had a worm? Who heard about the worm? Who heard about the worm? Pulled out of her brain. Literally, it was still wriggling. Still wriggling, this worm. Researchers believe this. This is wonderful. Think about the symbolism of this. They couldn't believe this, but they said the patient could have been infected by directly touching or consuming, foraging for vegetables or something, after a parasite that was shed from a snake. Now, how do they know that? Why couldn't the parasite be shed from something else? It's got to be parasite from a snake. A snake is a liar in Scripture. It's symbolic of Satan. So a worm, a parasite from a snake, is how this woman got in trouble. It's how this woman got in trouble. Parasites. Wow. How many times was I talking about parasites on the show? I was talking about parasites on that Resist the Current Thing show, where we were talking about the earworms and we were talking about how you can be possessed by even songs. This was kind of a big deal in my house. It may not have been in yours. I have 4 children, and from Billie Eilish to a lot of these other artists, their music is very dark. and so dark and so good that it's almost like you worry that your children are going to be singing these songs in their head and start to maybe, I don't know, believe what they're singing. Because that's always the way, right? That's always the way. You listen to the music, and that's what you're doing. It's a mantra, right? It's like a mantra. You ever see, you know what those mantras, you wake up, I am loved, I am smart, I am beautiful, I am successful, everybody likes me. You say that as to yourself enough times, it's supposed to help. Now, what if you're saying to yourself, I just want to go home. I can't take this anymore. There's no point of life anymore. There's no hope. And that's the Oliver Anthony song that's got millions and millions. This guy who came from nowhere, just like that Mother Fudgerson is not real. All of a sudden, these people are phenoms. Phenoms, legends. It's an earworm is something that gets into you, and it's catchy. Like Oliver Anthony's last song, Red, the Redhead. Remember I talked about the Redheads for a long time? Carrot Top was on the plane. Talk about the Redheads and how that's very symbolic. And then I revealed to you that the Redheads were like King David was a redhead, Solomon was a redhead, Julius Caesar was a redhead, Alexander the Great was a redhead, Napoleon was a redhead. Like all of these, and then like they're 2% of the population. I think this is interesting. But strange that the Ginger is out with another song. You know who else is out with songs? We got I don't know how to pronounce her name. Lorray. She just put out her song, Blue Moon. Blue Moon, Travis Scott announcing his Utopia tour. Circus Maximus, just like Rome. Just like I said, gladiators, get ready. Lions, Christians being thrown to the lions, like symbolic and metaphorically. You're not going to just have to be a Christian. It's not going to be about if you're a Christian or not. The Lions, Circus Maximus is coming. To ask Travis Scott, who's in blue. Everybody. Oh, these artists, these Christian artists, just like Ye. Who heard the news about Ye? Oh my goodness, you got to feel bad. I feel bad for these people now. I'm starting to feel bad for these people. Because there's something wrong with them. Something wrong with them. He's with his wife on the boat. And he's showing his butt off to the world because he's doing something to his wife. And he's wearing like a mask. And it just looks gross and weird. Broad daylight. But I guess if you're not, in a public eye all the time and you're trying to be romantic with your wife or something, I don't know. I got to stop faulting these people because there's something wrong with them. There really is. You got to feel bad for them. Maybe they got the earworms. The earworms. This guy, The Rock, I used to write for him. Remember I told you this? Weird that the Lord placed me in these places, little old me. Be really cool if he probably ever remember me. He wouldn't mention me or read my book or something. He wouldn't. I have no way of getting in touch with these people. God places you there for whatever reason. But yeah, even The Rock's reaching out to Oliver Anthony. Obama reacted to Oliver Anthony. Made it sound like, everybody was such a big supporter of his, and he said he doesn't like the Republicans either or something. I don't know the story. But I do know that his latest video got something like 6 million views. That's like I've been on here for a long time. I can I can sing and I can play instruments too. And I wonder why at times people don't take me seriously. He's this miraculous singer. I can't fault the guy. He's got a beautiful voice. Did a whole breakdown of his name, what it means. Crying the blues. Meanwhile, he's got like property at the wazoo. Would love, he's like the picture perfect guy. He's got his dogs in the video. He's got one truck. It's like, it just seems very psyopish to me, but I'm not saying that that's the case. But I do know that when I read the lyrics to his song, these are not songs that are going to give anybody strength. These are songs that are going to make people weak and want to give up. Listen to the lyrics of this, because it's really, to me, this is very sad. This is very sad to me. And I want to go home And of course, home means, heaven, because at the end of his video, he actually shared like a scripture. And it was a great scripture, And as I've said many times on the channel, that, Pilate offers the world two different Jesuses, two different, Yahshuas. One is the revolutionary of the world who is a murderer and will fight for rights and, wants to make the Romans pay. Another one is, not going to raise his voice, and he's going to offer his cheek once he gets slapped and his coat if something was stolen from him. You have two different Jesuses, and the one that they're going to gravitate towards, sadly, especially on the Pilate's platform X, because if you remember correctly, Elon brought in the hand basin, and I did a whole show about him being Pilate. And you should go back and watch that show, because he gave off so many hints and so many clues that that's who he is in a roundabout way. He would be too, he would be too. He would be the Pilate of the world. He'd be like, he's probably got a boss. Every boss has a boss, right? We just don't know that top level, and he was just put in charge of this world. I don't know if that's the case, but listen to these lyrics. I want to go home. I don't know which road to go. And it's true. It's been so long. I didn't used to wake up feeling this way. I'm cussing myself every damn day. People have really gone and lost their way. They all just do what the TV say. I want to go home. If it wasn't for my old dogs and the good Lord, they'd have me strung up in a psych ward. He wants to go home. The guy wants to go home. Who wouldn't want to go home? Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. And I'm home. I hope you're home. Hey, things ain't going to get any better until they get better in your heart first. And let me tell you something. Don't let this song fool you. Because it's like when I listened to this is official sent this to me too. And I said, I after listening to this, I was like, you listen to this, you want to like, I just want to end it all. What's the point? I just want to go home. I get emails. I get letters. I get comments. I get DMs. I get messages. I just want to go home, Jacob. And it breaks my heart. Because we may not be of this world, but we don't have to be, we don't have to be from it. Just because we're here doesn't mean that we have to be unhappy and miserable. When I got into an argument with the Dan because of whatever frequency shift was going down, I didn't let it keep me blue. What did I do? I said, honey, I'm sorry. I love you. I do love you so much. You mean so much to me. And she said, I love you too. You mean so much to me. I'm sorry too. It's called forgiveness. You all probably have a roof over your head. You all probably have some food that you can eat right now. It may not be a lot, it may not be lobster, but you got something. Home is where your heart is. What do you treasure today? Do you treasure the fear? Do you treasure the chaos? Do you treasure the new virus of the crown variant, Eris, chaos and strife? Just because it's coming doesn't mean you have to treasure it. I'm telling you, you can let it go. It's a movie after all. You're the star of the show, and God chose you to be where you are right now, good, bad, or indifferent. Home is where the heart is. I am home. How about you? Doesn't mean it's not going to get better. Doesn't mean that sometimes things aren't going to get worse. But I'm telling you one thing. This day, hug somebody that's next to you. Tell them you love them. Grab hold. Hold hands with your spouse or your friend. Do something that'll make somebody feel a little bit better. That'll give them a little more hope. And I tell you something, you won't be singing Oliver Anthony's song too long. Replace the negative with the good. Let me tell you what the Lord says. Okay? Let me pull this up for you. You want to know how to deal with being blue? All these things. I had a feeling. I said, look, I have a feeling that it's going to get spooky around this time of the year. I have a feeling, I said, that August 30th we would see something terrible. I felt it. And so what? Every day we have things like this happen. And every day we find better things waiting for us, birthed out of it. So this is in the book of Philippians. Now this is just great advice, and I want to end the show on this. While we have 1,440 watching. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. All right. Therefore, my brethren, dearly beloved and longed for, my crown and joy, stand fast in the Lord, my dearly beloved. I beseech that you be of the same mind in the Lord. Did you notice how I ignored the names I don't know how to pronounce because they're not important? And I entreat you also, true yokefellow, help those women which labored with me in the gospel. This is basically just Paul saying, hey, look, you know what? Go out of your way to help the people that have helped me. Help each other. Lift each other up, okay? All your names that are doing so, they're written in the book of life. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. Always rejoice in the Lord. And again, I say always. When? Always. Always. Let me pull this over now that I got the music going. Hopefully you can see it by now. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Let me just make sure that I'm actually switched over good. Let your moderation be known to everyone. When you do a YouTube video, I don't care if you're, if you just smile and show everybody where your heart is. Be careful for nothing. Don't be worried about anything. That's what that means. Stop stressing out. But in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known. So in other words, don't worry. Pray about it. Say, hey, I'm a little stressed out about this. I'm going to try to let this go now, Lord. But will you please help me? Will you please? And I thank you for helping me because I already know that you're going to do what you said, which is why I'm not going to care for anything at all. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to love God, and I'm going to love others, and I'm going to know that God's got it worked out. And the peace of God, which is beyond your understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ. You do these things, I'm telling you, everybody, you're going to have a peace that doesn't make any sense. People talk to me when I go to the gym, and I'm always so chipper, and they don't understand why. People that watch my channel come up to me, and they're like, did you see this? Did you see this? How could you? And they don't understand why I'm always so hopeful. Because I was told in this book, finally, everyone, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Think on things that are true, that are honest, that are just, that are pure, that are lovely, that have a good report. If there's any virtue, if there's any praise, think on these things. which you've both learned and you've received and you've heard and you see on me. That's no joke here at Jacob's Well, Jacob's Ladder. You see it in me. So do it. Do it. And the peace of God will, it'll get those blues to go bye-bye. Who wants that negativity anyways, right? All right, listen. I hope that this helped you. It definitely helped me. I'm glad I didn't give up and turn off the stream, but I tried again. And even though we were frozen for a minute, we are back. And don't forget, I got a novel, this amazing novel. You can go to Amazon. You can get it anywhere. Get a copy of it. Read it. You will be glad you did. Whatsoever things are, pure and just and true, in here too. We just got to learn these tools. And I'm 52, I'm getting better at it. If you saw me and the Dan when we first got married, you would have thought we were never going to make it. You see us now, and we are that couple. Especially when we go around, we end up being the counselors. I would love to get the Dan on here that we could talk about relationships. I would love to, because I got to tell you, we are what we call stories of victory. Is that the word? When you have, because we met on the dating app. We met on, what was it? What was that old dating app back in the day? I don't even know the name of it. Tell me in the comments. But that's how we met. We met there. I was like it was like shopping online. It was weird. It was like, look, and we met, and I knew we went on one date, just me and her together, and I told her, I'm going to marry you in 6 months. True story. 6 months later, we ended up getting married. It's no joke. It's a true story. And since then, man, has it been built. It's been very strong, and it just gets better and better and better. And we have a lot of things going against us in the world, and I'm sure you do too in your relationships. But you can insulate yourself with that by just doing the things that I'm saying. Just do the things that I'm saying. That's what Paul was saying. The things that I've shared with you. Try it. Try to forgive. Try to love. Try to let things go. Your fights are over like this when that happens. And then you fight less and less and less. And then, you don't got to worry so much whether or not there's some kind of crazy frequency barreling down on you, because you got control. That's what Jesus talks about, to test the spirits to see if they be true. The thoughts in your head, test them. Test them before you act on them. All right, I got to go. Help out the channel by going trulyfreehome.com. You can get your stuff. You can get any of the merch. Get yourself the calling, sharing, liking. My Patreon, I love you. My PayPal people, I love you. Thank you. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. Believe me. You have made this possible, and I want to thank you for it, and I love you all, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.